3 reasons not to chase happiness. Reason number 1, I think best was explained by the late, great Daniel Kahneman, is basically you're not thinking about happiness that often. And so why would you chase something you actually don't think of that much? Most of the time, we're not thinking about happiness. We're out living our life. And happiness, when we think about it, is just something that you're like, oh, okay, yeah, this feels good. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually in a moment where like it is extreme happiness, right? Like it's a moment
It's a
where
byproduct.
An abnormal level of happiness. Like there have been moments where, we've been doing like, I have memories of going to Disney World with my dad. And those are some of the happiest moments because we were just completely silly. And so it's not that I didn't have happiness the other times, but like you don't recognize it. You're not paying attention to it until like you're laughing so hard that you can't ignore it.
Yeah, it's a byproduct. Don't chase a byproduct. Chase the actual thing. One of the things to chase is relationships. This is completely uncontroversial, and everybody listening to the show has heard some version of this over the years. The studies, some of them, the famous longitudinal ones, used to be, they're out of Harvard, doing Harvard people, but also regular people in the community for like 70 or 80 years.
Not that Harvard people aren't regular people, but...
Yeah, but their basic finding from those studies of tracking people's lives over 80 years or so is that relationships are the most predictive element of, do you feel like you had a good life? Specifically, you need at least one reciprocal relationship where you feel like, I love this person loves me. Yeah, you need at least one. If you have 0, the mortality of having, that's called a social isolate. The mortality of that is higher than drinking, smoking, and drugs all put together. You're more likely to die. You can do, not that we recommend those 3 things. That's a different podcast. But if you're doing those 3 things, you're still likely to live longer than somebody who says, I have 0 relationships where I love somebody and they love me back and it's reciprocal. To the extent that you may have a few more than that, of these reciprocal relationships.
It's just greater stability.
Those are the kinds of things to quote unquote chase. As Cindi mentioned in her story of going to Walt Disney World with her dad, it wasn't the Disney World that made the happiness.
It was us together.
Yeah. In the studies of happiness, the context isn't that important. We usually habituate to the context. If you've ever been to a theme park, the first hour and a half are great, but then you're standing in line and you're getting hungry and it's getting hot and you actually start to get used to the thing.
Oh, you can see people completely melt down at Disney.
Yeah.
You would see people who had been saving for years to do this thing for their kids and were really excited to share it with them. And then their kids, because they're kids and it's hot and their lines, they're not having the best day of their life.
Yeah.
And then the parent is just melting down because they know how much money that they're spending.
Yeah.
And my dad was never that way. Yeah, we had to save to be able to do these things. But when you got there, there was like a level of freedom that didn't exist in the normal daily life. We had lots of things to do, lots of responsibilities, running the businesses, and we were all part of them, and going to school. Like we had lots of responsibilities. And when we went to Disney, like very few of those constraints exist. I won't say none of them, but very few of those constraints exist. Like you wanted it, we're buying it, essentially. I mean, within limits. We weren't getting like the gigantic stuffed animals or whatever, but like, having a little token gift, no problem. Eating ice cream all day long, no problem. Whatever it was, it's like the normal constraints were off, which also marked it as a very different day.
Yeah, and that's another thing that we're recommending instead of happiness you should chase, and this one's more recent, is having a little bit of novelty, something a little bit new and a little bit different in your life. I remember, we talk about this from time to time when we lived in Covington, which is on the north shore of Lake Pontchartrain near New Orleans. one day on a Saturday, we got up and it was fall. I remember it's like October, but it was beautiful, like 70-something degrees. And we had stuff to do, right? We always have something to do, but we're like, let's go to Pensacola Beach. And we got in the car and we drove. And the closer we got to Pensacola Beach, the grayer it got. And by the time we got to Pensacola Beach, it was straight up raining. It was raining.
It was more than that.
Raining.
We drove in and there were warnings for a hurricane we didn't know were coming.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
And so the waves were huge.
Yeah.
And it was raining. And we're like, we're going in the water.
We're going in because it wasn't thunder and lightning.
And we had time. We had time for the hurricane was going to get there.
Yeah. But people were, to a certain degree, not evacuating, but they were leaving their vacation. Yeah. The hotels were, some of the low-lying stuff. Can't remember if they were putting boards up. But okay, we just drove the 3 hours. So for us, as a day trip, we didn't have anything in the car. So we weren't staying anyway. And because we weren't thinking about Pensacola, we weren't tracking any hurricane.
But also those waves were amazing. Riding the waves, we were both wearing baseball caps in the water. And so the rain wasn't coming directly down on our heads.
Yeah, we had a good time.
And it was fun.
And, we've been to a lot of places, done a lot of things, but I still think from time to time about that random Saturday of just saying, forget about the to-do list and getting in the car and driving 3 hours out there. And we only stayed for an hour and a half.
Something like that, yeah. We went and went to Miller's and got nachos.
Yep. Got some nachos and then came home. And we were home, in time to go to bed. But it's this, idea of having a life with a little bit of novelty and curiosity and doing something occasionally a little bit different. And that seems to be important. I give my dad great credit for, even at the end of his life, when his dementia was at the stage where he probably remembered 10 seconds or 15 seconds?
Probably 10.
Yeah. But very limited short-term memory. He still read 2 papers each day and underlined it.
Had good thoughts with the underlines. Yeah. It's just he would never remember what
So he would underline it and then look up and make a comment and then look back down and go to the next, but he would have forgotten, what he just commented on. But it's for me was an example of he still had that muscle memory of, what can I learn today? What's happening that's new, so to speak? What's what's new? What's interesting? What's going on? And there are other reasons why he kept I would say, generally happy disposition and had a pretty good life, even at the end. But a piece of it was he had something interesting and novel and new in his life.